Welcome to Trinny London Tours Notting Hill. Now, this is the place I've lived most in London in my 59 years, and I'm back living here now. So I'm so happy to show you around, showing you my favorite shops, restaurants, little secret nooks and crannies that you won't find on the tourist road map. There is Notting Hill Gate over there. So you're coming here to visit Notting Hill. There's so much to visit. Take the Tube, District and Circle line, or the Central line, or buses, or a London cab. Nothing nicer. This is where the journey begins. And if you love pre-loved fashion, Retro Woman Buy Sell Trade has been here probably longer than many pre-loved stores. They'll put all the gems in the window, and you can see already there's some nice kind of Stella McCartney, there's some Prada, there's some Louis Vuitton. Going to get a mixture of high and low, some rather divine gold shoes, which I've got my eye on. But let's have a very quick look inside and see if I'd find three things I'd love. So the more jumbled up it looks, the more you think you're getting a bargain. But obviously the things behind the closed doors are their shoes, because they are known for having a great selection of shoes. Can look retro, but some shoes never go out of style. So that trainer, Marbury trainer, but it could have been Balenciaga trainer or something else. That's a lovely Dior shoe. It's still £300, but Dior shoes usually start at £600 or £800. And a nude stiletto is a great shoe to have in any wardrobe. The season when Prada did this double platform, and that still is something that is done at Prada today, and they are about £600. Normally these are £140. So you're getting a good price. A whole mixture of clothes, not in any particular order, so you've got to rifle through. But downstairs is where I've always got my £8 handbags. Just go down here, because this is where I have in the past found good little bargains. The thing I always love to get is I love to get belts. And I have got belts from here. There you've got Love Rock, I Love You. You know, just cool studded leather belt, £60, beautifully made. It's Dolce & Gabbana. And then we've got here probably a really classic belt. But these are things you will buy today, buy tomorrow, buy any time. And this is £20, leather, nude belt, and it is Calvin Klein. You want just a neutral belt for £20. Nicer to buy that probably than going to Zara, where it would cost you about the same. So things like that, I would have got that today if we were having a shop up, but I'm just window shopping today. These are probably Roger Vivier or Zara, but they are in fact somebody else. I don't know who they are, but they're £15. That never goes out of style. You just have a sort of grungy thing with a beautiful shoe. I've got so much these days, so I'm going to go to the next door. So this is Pembridge Road. I have a lot of memories here because I used to live on the street. We're going to pass a house I used to live at before I had Lila. And my husband and I always went to Starbucks. This is one of the first Starbucks in London, and it used to be called Coffee Republic, which was then bought by the Seattle Coffee Company, which then turned into Starbucks. There's lots of history of the beginning of brands that started here. Other side is full of stores that tourists shop at. So we'll go and look at them now. Before you start any sightseeing trip, eat something little, because there's nothing worse than going around just feeling hungry. So always you could grab some pizza at Arancina, and I love their little half Fiat in the window. I quite like this vintage store. They do sort of vintage Burberry and things like that. Quite fun. Prices aren't bad. And then on our right, Notting Hill is really well known for incredibly pretty painted houses, and this is one of my favorite. England is famous for scones, and it's been exported all over the world. But cheeky scone is every single kind of scone you could get. So they have the classic plain scone, they have the strawberry jam and cream, and they have all variations of scones. We're going to go around the corner now and start our journey on the Portobello Road. If you like vintage jewellery, you will have endless stores here with little bits of delicate vintage jewellery. When I go to Portobello Road myself, I usually never take the beginning of Portobello Road here, because on a Friday and Saturday, when the market is open, and sometimes on a Sunday, bits of it are open, you just have a stream of people. So try and get here early, because it's really great to see it. The stands start to set up. I once had a stand further down Notting Hill, and you had to get there at 5 a.m. to get a stall, and I used to do that to sell my clothes when I was younger. This is the beginning of the really pretty different coloured houses of Notting Hill. And although it's all over London and it's in Chelsea, these are some of the prettiest, because it's probably the longest line of houses that consistently have all these charming colours. And there's no rule. You can paint your house whatever colour you wish. In some neighbourhoods in London and in some streets in London, you have to follow a strict code. We're now in Chepstow Villas, and the houses in the street probably go from between 8 and 20 million. So it really has changed. So now we're at the beginning of the shops of Notting Hill, and there's 3 or 4 shops that I go to quite a lot. So one of them is called Jessie Weston, and Jessie Weston is a wonderful store that they sort of travel around America, and they got these amazing jewelry and wonderful embroidered piece of fabric. But just come on in, you can see something. Wonderful turquoise jewelry, a lot of Navajo jewelry, fantastic hats, wonderful fringe things. It's kind of like if you're wanting to get the most exquisite wardrobe for a festival and you actually want to feel luxe, you would come to Jessie Weston. So if you're looking to decorate a house and you bought something here, or you just want to take back something a bit mad, Alice's is quite famous, and they usually have a repaint because it's such a bright colour and it doesn't look so bright at the moment. But they always have a kind of mad, stuffed, fake, plastic animal from a circus, that kind of thing. But come on in and we'll have a look. Like the hippo. Rhinoceros, I'm sorry. But I love it here because you can come in here and you can just buy quintessentially English china like this. This is the most prettiest china. And, you know, I always buy china, actually. Like if you go to Portugal, so I buy that lovely, what I see is the local china. But this is all inspired by that kind of Liberty print British china moment. So get a little saucer and it costs you £5. So if you're on a budget and you want something nice and you put it in your hand luggage, you're here for the weekend, it's great things. And then they have bigger things. If you think, I want it shipped. These are the tennis rackets that I used when I played tennis. That's how old I am. And then over here, we got a few good shops. So we're here on a Thursday. On a Friday, the Chelsea Galleries opens, and there's lots of little galleries in there, and it goes all the way back and comes out the other side. Wherever you see it's Chelsea Galleries. And there's a few stores in there I love. On the right-hand side as you go in, there's a man who does beautiful silver trays. And then after that, there's a man who does second-hand sunglasses. So I've got some incredible, like I got Dolce & Gabbana sunglasses for 60 quid that I then went to look on the internet and they were like £300. And then you get really old sunglasses as well. So I love collecting sunglasses. This is quite a good shop actually because they do amazing necklaces. There's some antique shops here that have been here a long time. And you know, when I first came to live in Notting Hill, this was only antique shops. And one of them would have been like Judy Fox Antiques. And there are very few of them left. And in there, there'll be very traditional antiques and a few little, not much modern actually, but there's only probably 5 of them left now. Gallery 85, this has an eclectic mix in it. Gold here, this is one of there's sort of 5 or 6 great restaurants in Notting Hill, and Gold is one of them. You can sit outside where you can, it's just come as you know, you don't have to book. And then inside is booked usually. And then on the other side over here, there's another lovely restaurant called Zephyr. And Zephyr is a sort of Greek fusion restaurant, and that you do have to book, and you kind of have to book like a couple of weeks in advance, but really worth doing. But these tables outside, again, are come and serve. So if you came at 12:30, you might get a table. There are parts of Notting Hill that have gone that I wish hadn't gone, and on this corner here, there used to be a shop called Sheila Cook, and Sheila Cook was an amazing collector of vintage clothing. And I remember coming in this shop and it was a cornucopia of incredible things. And she supplied a lot of the people who dressed all those figures and characters in Harry Potter came here to find things. And I remember there was this incredibly long black coat, which was sort of a whole mixture of God knows what. And I came in and loved it. And it had been reserved for Maggie Smith for the Harry Potter film, but it was too long for her. And I bought it. But it was just, yeah, I remember that. There's a great restaurant further up, we might not get up there today, called Dorian. It's a young British chef. And they also have the Notting Hill fish shop here. Fantastic fish. So if you're a local or if you're renting something here, then it's a great, great fish shop. 20th Century Theatre is where I did the launch party for my book, What Not to Wear, which sold 1 million copies. And I did it up there with Susanna. And I remember the evening really well, because we didn't have a big budget to do the book. We didn't know how well it would do. And my dad, who never showed me, you know, never said to me how proud he was of me. He was kind of dad who wanted you just to feel it. He came up to me in a corner and he gave me this little silver book, which had empty pages inside, and on the outside it had What Not to Wear and the date. And on the back, I'm very proud of you. And he gave it to me there. We're gonna go back this way, Jemima. Brasseria. This is my local restaurant I go to probably twice a week. You can sit outside again, you don't have to book. Inside you book. It is the easiest place to eat at. There's always lots of tables, and the family who run it had a famous Italian restaurant called the Spaghetti House in the 70s and 80s, which was in Knightsbridge and somewhere else. Anyway, the sons opened this, and it's got sort of like veal milanese and delicious omelettes, and they have a pasta of the day. When you sort of say, what is it? It has written on the menu, depending on the chef's mood, which I kind of love. This is more, you're getting on to things that people might have heard of, like the Hummingbird Cafe. And the Hummingbird Cafe might not now have the queues that it will have definitely on the weekend. And there's a place like this in New York on Beaker Street. I think it is also the Hummingbird Cafe on Beaker Street in New York. They do unbelievable cupcakes, and their Red Devil cupcake is like Lila's favorite, the sugar rush from hell. Over here is Gale's Bakery. And there are probably about 10 in London. It's a kind of bakery that wants you, when you come across it, to make you feel there's only one, you know, and it's quite cleverly done. It has delicious cakes, delicious sandwiches, delicious coffee. When I moved here and I was sort of frenetically unpacking, I had it on speed dial on Deliveroo because we literally couldn't leave the house because we were unpacking so much. This calls itself the Travel Bookshop, but it's not the one from the film Notting Hill. They put that up just to kind of fake you, but that's not right. It's down here on the left. So we're going to come up to Elgin Crescent, and there's Elgin Crescent and then Blenheim Crescent. And they have a mixture of little stores, so I'm going to show you a couple of ones that I come to a lot. Mary Portas is one of our champions of the high street. She's done lots of television. She's a champion of many things, but she started a pre-loved shop. It's got great stuff in it, really good to come to for pre-loved. In the window today, what have we got? We've got some Alberta Ferretti sandals. It's nicely curated. There's not too much choice, so it's sort of easy to look at. And it's a great charity. And we're going to go in here, Neil's Yard. When you have a hectic day and you come in here, you feel, you inhale peace and calm. And when you're doing a sightseeing trip, you kind of want that moment of just, So we're going to get here, and we're going to get a pizza there, because it's the best pizza at the grocer. So I need to get some rose geranium. They have some lovely things in here, and they have lovely shower gels. They have a geranium shower gel, which I adore. They have smells they've had forever, and unlike many English companies that have been bought by other people, the recipes change, and I feel Neil's Yard's recipes of their essential oils haven't changed. Don't you feel that they are what they were 30 years ago when I first got them?
We've got 2 geranium, 2 lavender,
Yeah.
2 woman balance,
Yeah.
2 meditation, 1 vitality, and would you like the optimism as well?
Yeah. Optimism. I mean, you just see it and you buy 10. So Daphne is sweetly getting that for me so that we can continue our little tour. So the grocer. This is a lovely place, the grocer. So if you want a quick snack, come here. They always have these pizzas, and they come out usually every 2 hours. The reason they're so delicious is that they're crispy and you can just eat them straight away. I'm so hungry, I'm just going to put some in my mouth now. But I'm going to tell you what they do over here. You know, if you don't have time to cook, or you're staying, or you're renting, or doing an Airbnb, and you don't want to cook in the Airbnb, gazpacho soup, delicious minestrone, wild mushroom, roast chicken broth, I love. They have a chicken tangine, I adore. They have Swedish meatball, kind of meatball thing, I love. And the English asparagus risotto is divine. I've got to come back and get some. And now, my other favourite shop in the street is called Graham and Green. Again, you want to be thinking of buying a property here if you're visiting, but they also have lovely knickknacks. They have lovely sort of tiny candlesticks, and downstairs it's bigger things, furniture and rugs and lights. They have fantastic websites, just shipping in the UK, but look at the website, it's lovely. Always cool lights. And then they have Ortega. I love this smell so much, and it's such beautiful packaging. They have a store by Duke of York's, but this is a place you can get in Notting Hill. And then little things like lovely candles. You know, if you just want to get knickknacks and you're just going on a little tour. But some of the lights are fab. I've been coveting this light for ages. I think this weekend I might have to come back and get it. So this is the Electric Cinema, and it's a part of Soho House. And it's a cinema, it's probably the first cinema in London where you went in, there's about 50 seats, sofas, blankets, food delivered to your table, and then everyone did it. But this was the first one, and they put on great retro films. And then you can, although Soho House is above here, as it's called the Electric, this is the one, downstairs you can go to the Brasserie if you're not a member. And it's a nice stop-off point. If you like coffee, over here, this is fair traded coffee, and it's called Coffee Plant. And lots of people love the coffee there. You know, I could tell you 5 coffee shops in Notting Hill that I adore, but that's definitely one of them. So we're going to whisk round now to Westbourne Grove, and I'll show you a couple of things on there. I don't know how many of you have heard of buns from home. This is like a TikTok phenomena. I had not heard of it, but when you come here on a Saturday, there's a queue from here to the beginning of buns from home. And it is basically sticky buns on steroids. And generally, they're open now, but they will have this huge queue, and we can see some buns. When you come in and smell, it's so overwhelming. And if you find it difficult and don't have such a sweet tooth, it can be overwhelming. But the original cinnamon is the killer bun. It's the one that's least sweet, probably. Then they have every other kind, and the real aficionados go for the custard bun, which is challenging to eat, but ever so delicious in the moment. And afterwards, you might think, oh my God, did I eat that? And then on the weekend, these ladies here work so hard, and there's like 5 of them. Just, your weekends are insane. But you're doing so well, bravo. I love a bakery, which is actually on site. So now we're on Westbourne Grove, and we're going to pass Wild at Heart, one of my favourite flower shops, which reminds me that I have been out for about a few hours, and I'm going to put some more SPF on, and it is the thing to think about when you are out and about. I'm putting a hell of a lot on because I also want to do my hands. I don't want to get more age spots on my hands, and it's a real luxury for me to put on my hands. But just to cover again, and then just to put some on here, that immediate application. It feels so nice that you put lots on, and then you're protecting yourself on a superficial level from sun damage, premature aging, but on a most important level from melanomas. So Wild at Heart is one of those original beautiful flowers. So I would always like, whenever I got a Wild at Heart bouquet, I knew somebody felt I'd done something brilliant because it was such a special treat. Around this is Westbourne Grove, and this is kind of what I call the heart of Westbourne Grove, where probably you could just stay between Ledbury Road and Portobello Road and get the heart of what it is, because you'll cross Ledbury Road, which we'll do in a minute. And it's a mixture of things. There's a few high street stores you'll recognise, like the Couples and Me&M. Not high street stores, but stores that have a chain. And then there's some individual ones. But this used to be, the whole thing, antique shops. And when I first had my first flat in Notting Hill in 1995, I came to these antique shops to get my furniture, and some of it is still in my house today. Then you have Martina London, which is weird. It's a coffee shop and it sells skincare. Then you have Weekend Maximara, which I have never been into in my life, and it just seems a weird shop to have in this neighbourhood. You have James Pierce, which is very LA, and the most expensive t-shirts in the world, and the most expensive jogging pants, but people love them. You have Smyson, which is a perennial English brand. Let's just go in. For those of you who are coming to England for the first time, Smyson's is where I got my first diaries as I grew up. My father every year would give me a new diary from Smyson, and it was the biggest treat. And I would always give my friends these funny little books with expressions on them that they always used to have. And it would just be, you know, we have sort of smile, smile, so sweet little things like that. The world is your oyster. And they're just little, empty books you can write things in. And they always have different things written on them, and if you want to have your own, then they just have plain ones. And they also now make handbags. David Cameron, the Prime Minister of England, his wife was the creative designer before she started Surfin for a while at Smyson, and at that time I think they also started to do handbags and things. But these are the agendas, and lots of people have these agendas, and every year they do a different colour. I did recently interview Jo Malone, and she brought out her Smyson agenda, and she's had a different colour every year. She brought out the pink one because it's still 2023. So there's the agenda. You can find the months quickly. There's room for notes at the back. And the paper and the gold and the crinkle quality. Next up, we have something that is blossoming around England called Daylesford. And Daylesford was started by a magnificent entrepreneur called Carol Bamford. And Carol Bamford had Daylesford Organic in the countryside, and then she started some shops in London, and they sell the most wonderful food So lots of people wander down Westbourne Grove and they want somewhere to eat, and these tables are usually taken. But generally at the back in the restaurant, you can always find a table. Nothing is reserved, and it's such yummy food. There's a special dish I have here. I hate kale. I find it the most unappealing thing, but they do a kale with pomegranate and chicken salad, and it's so delicious. They also do wonderful Florentines, which are my weekly treat. I've tried to cut down on sugar, but they somehow make it into my bag at the weekend. They do really nice smoothies, and they do their own food. My stepson's favorite is their shepherd's pie. So when we're not cooking at home, this is what we get. And then they have very delicious chicken bone broth, which you can use to make soups or to drink. It is not cheap, but it's utterly delicious and less probably than a restaurant. And then my favorite raspberry jam, if they have it in stock, is this one. Lila literally goes through half a bottle every 2 weekends. It's a treat food shop. There's two lovely British jewellers on this street. One of them is Dinny Hall, who specialises in semi-precious stones and very, very delicate jewellery. Really pretty stones, like these individual rings, are just divine. The rest of this street is generally stores you've heard of in that premium high street space, like the Couples, like Reformation, Jigsaw, Sandrine, and then of course one of my favourite stores is M&M. To show you how bad my M&M shopping addiction has been this summer, I'm going to point out in the store what I bought already. I have this. I have this. I wanted to get this, but I felt I spent too much that day. I would have got this, but it was too short on my long body. I have that lovely suit that lady is trying on now. She should try it on because this is the most fabulous suit. This I have not tried, and I need something for Ascot, and suddenly that looks appealing. It goes on and on. I love this cardigan. These are the most comfortable at-home sweatpants, and having this double rim here allows you to just suck in your tummy, and you can wear them high-waisted or you can wear them low. I do adore this dress because cornflower blue is my favorite. Imagine being in Greece wearing that. This I loved, but I did look better on you, Jemima. That's too short for me, so I didn't get it. This suit I wore this morning before it got too hot. It's embarrassing now, isn't it? I have also those white leg trousers, which is the other option to the narrow suit. I don't have the belt. I don't have the shoes. I don't have those. But somehow, I wish I did. I think one thing that M&M are known for is they do this, they're very clever, this concept of layering. So everything you look at, like, you know that this could be layered with things underneath it or be worn as a skirt with jumpers over it. And you just see those options endlessly. These little cardigans they've done for the last 2 years in all different types, and I just use them just to give a waist to a long shirt, so you don't look like the long shirts to here and then you have short legs. If you put a short cardigan over it, you kind of see there's your waist, so you just believe the rest is layering and not just a shorter leg coming out a long shirt. And also they love dogs. So what happens on a Saturday is Lila does this. How long are you going to be, mummy? And the dogs sit in there. There couldn't be a nicer way to shop if you're a local and the air conditioning's good. So Love Shack Fancy, American store for all you Americans. It is like the store of dreams. They have a store on Madison Avenue, and I took Lila first of all, and she was allowed to look but not buy.
It's so Lila as well.
It's so Lila, and it's kind of, now it's too girly for Lila, but white dresses are beautiful here, and the prints are divine, and it's like, if you are that woman or teenager, if you've got somebody who's spoiling you, it's divine. Should we see what Jigsaw has to offer? We never go in, and Jigsaw used to actually have this store and this store. And when Lila was little, there was a slide here. This wasn't a staircase, it was a slide. So I would shop next door and she'd come in here and she'd use the slide. Loved it. It's gone through many different incarnations, Jigsaw. It was profoundly popular in the 90s and noughties, and then it went quite classic. And now it's recently had a resurgence. So many people are doing a waistcoat and a trouser. That nice color. They do great handbags. I've got some good bags here, and they do suede really well. So if you want something where you're not obsessed with having a name, but you want good design, like that's a great hold-all bag without being heavy or the weight of leather, and just looks really pretty. And then that I think it's super cool. It's a super cool dress. Now, I maybe would have loved it that way round. I don't know. Whereas you knew it might all be classic a few years ago, I'm looking at that thinking, that's a great dress. Jigsaw is an interesting place to come and re-evaluate. That's what I'd say for people who used to shop here. And if you haven't been here before and you're in Westbourne Grove, come and have a look. It's Reformation, American, sort of sustainable brand. You choose everything from a screen. Girls love it. I mean, you just see a ton of mothers sitting in there thinking, oh my God, how long am I going to be here? Zadig and Voltaire, French, really expensive. Some great stuff, but very expensive store. One thing I love doing in a foreign town is to see how much is everything here. So I always come along to Winkworth or to, that's called Druce. It used to be called Marsh and Parsons. To see, so we can have an immaculate, refurbished ground and lower ground floor maisonette with a south-facing garden. 2.3 million. Or if you're feeling you want something smaller, you can get a maisonette, top floor, immaculate condition, 1.3 million. You can get a sense of how much things are. Derrick Rose is one of the most glorious brands because they have the best fabrics for pajamas. I bought their pajamas for years and years and years. Many years ago, you might remember a picture of Lila and I when she was about 8, and we were in this incredibly thin weight, like a muslin pajama, mother and daughter moment, when Lila still wanted to dress like me. And they do this very thin cotton in the summer. And then they have the piping, and they have matching boys and men, and they have little girls. It's a dream, and incredibly pretty prints, flattering colours. And then a new one they've done, which is this kind of fabric, which is like the micromodal, and you don't sweat in it. It's kind of like jersey. It's such a great fabric. And I bought the navy with the white piping. Divine. About £100, £120. The cheapest cotton pyjama here.
Yeah,
330. So this is for those who spend a lot of their time in bed. Hagen has come to Notting Hill. I love it so much. My favourite coffee shop, the best coffee, Scandinavian. They now have about 6 in England, and it's just divine. Up here, there's a little Petit Bateau. Oh, Otto Lengi, if you want food as well. Otto Lengi, fantastic, amazing chef from Israel. He's done many cookbooks, and that was one of his first stores in the UK, and it has fresh food every day, and you can also order on Deliveroo. So if you suddenly were wanting to have a lovely dinner party and you couldn't cook and you didn't want to get pre-made food or Charlie's from Waitrose, Otto Lengi is your luxe version of giving a dinner party. Petit Bateau is where I took Lila all the time when she was little, and I discovered it first in France, and it looks like, I'm going to go in again, because if you ever have a friend having babies, Petit Bateau they're lovely gifts, not that expensive, French designer, and like little baby things, which, like a cashmere thing is £60, and Brora might be 120. You'll get little onesies like this for £30. The sweetest duck. I mean, it's a dream for people who are just wanting to spoil their babies. Wonderful British shoe designers, Penelope Shivers. She's known for many things, but she's probably known for variations of lovely Spanish riding boots. And I got my first pair here. And the Spanish riding boot was a beautiful thing you could buy, but sometimes uncomfortable. So she does a lot of work in Spain, and all of the leather is from Spain, I think. But they're so elegant, and people who really ride want to look elegant, because look, you've got that there, so when you're gripping the horse, you have that. So that's what she's really known for. And then she does very comfortable kind of Chelsea boots like these, short ones. And she does these velvet shoes as well. She's got some here, beautiful velvet ballet pumps, really wonderfully made. They'll be under £200, everything in the shop. This is a designer shoe shop still, but the cushioning, feel the cushioning on that shoe.
very soft.
Isn't that amazing? So like thinking about the cushioning, that's actually fabulously comfortable. Those are great, aren't they? They're absolutely fantastic. So comfortable. I mean, that thing at the front, but they're so comfortable. Can I just say, my showing you Notting Hill was a big mistake for my bank balance today. Then they have amazing espadrilles, really pretty espadrilles there. And they're sort of flat but elegant, so it's a good combination. And then they occasionally do bags and they do belts, like that. I loved Mary Jane's. I'm very tempted to try that. The problem I have with these is that beyond a certain age, I can feel granny. I have to be somebody called Katrin Henkel, who's a friend of mine who I think buys these shoes, who's got the most enchanting calf and ankle. And they look so elegant on her. And she'll wear some beautiful Erdem dress and have something like this on. And it's like, yeah, I can't be that flat. This is the position they're gorgeous in, like this, because this is the best way to sit to make your ankle look slim. So you want somebody to stay in that position, talk to you, and you just sit like that. So let me just talk you through this part of Westbourne Grove. We are east-west. East is towards Queensway. Down here, the places to eat are Sumi, which is the best Japanese in Notting Hill. And on the corner here where you see the greenery, Jemima, is Granger. Bill Granger, lovely Australian chef, and he makes the most delicious things. You can't reserve, walk in. At a weekday, at a weekend, there is a queue outside. American Vintage, great t-shirts. Kevin Mark, great designer. And then here what I call is Paris in 3 shops. Erez, which is the most chic bikini store in the world. So I've bought Erez bikinis for 30 years and I am so careful with them. So the nice thing is you buy the tops and bottoms separately and there's all different shapes. So you really go to your body shape. They're made of beautiful fabric and they last forever. They're investments. Bikinis can fall apart. But any bikini will fall apart if you don't rinse out the salt water immediately after you swim. And that's the key of not getting a bikini to come out crusty the following year. They used to just do only single colours. And about 3 years ago, they introduced a print occasionally, and they'll have a print of the season. I've got most of my bikinis are in this shape, which is the bandeau, like that, and the block colour. And then my bottom is generally the string. Not this small, but there's one with a little string on it. They also do the prettiest, we are in a French shop, lingerie. It's kind of delicate, feminine, softly sexy is how I define it. And then little things you wear à la maison. Diptyque is, you know, one of my favorite smells. There's 2 candle companies I love. One is Victoria Cater, who is one of the best British candle makers and fragrance makers for the home. And French, it would be Diptyque. We have got my favorite scents. So I've just bought, Figure has always been my favorite. And what I love is when you come in the store, if you want to be the kind of person to know to do this cleverly, is you take the candle out and you smell the base, and that's how you get to smell the fragrance best. This is Ripe. Ripe is pine? Pine, yeah. And they introduce new ones. They have one called Londres, which I have. It's in a lovely silver container here. Oh, here it is, Londres. And it's actually a lovely smell, Londres. It's kind of sweet. I love heliotrope so much. And then they have other things. They have incredibly pretty diffusers. And then they have this range for the home. So if you feel you want fragrance on home and then we use products to clean the floor, they just smell like detergent. So they actually have one which is for, this is a multi...
Any type of surface.
Yeah.
The scent is vinegar and fig.
Vinegar and fig. So it's cleaning with vinegar. If you want your house to smell of a mixture of vinegar and fig rather than bleach, could be the way. These are the most beautiful diffusers I think have ever been made, and I've been given them once or twice. And you get a bottle of it, and then you have this, and you undo it, put it in, and then when it's gone down there, you turn it around like a clock with sand, and the fragrance starts to come through. And they last forever. I've had mine for like 9 months, and it's still going strong. You know, when you're busy and you're sightseeing, it's really lovely to come into a fragrance shop. And then my daughter's favorite one, which she gets at Christmas as a treat, is the one which is the pomegranate. And they're one in the black bottle. She loves this so much. I'll put it on so you can see.
Yeah, well, imagine it.
It's kind of an intense one. That's Diptyque for you. Gorgeous. I won't take you on because this is the shop that bankrupted me. Because when you try 14 times with IVF, more than 14 times, to have a baby, and then you have a baby, first of all, you're very broke from the IVF, but when you recover and you know you will only have one child, you put everything into that child. And so this was where I brought Lila's close, and it was an addiction, and I won't go there. I won't go there ever again. Just took a lot out of me. Pippa Small, this enchanting jewellery shop. Hello. Pippa Small has been here forever. I love this shop because it's so beautifully designed, and she does the most incredible semi-precious stones. And over the years, I've been given a couple of things, but you know, she does some quite bold designs, and you know, this is probably one of her latest collections. And then she does these earrings where she just finds stones and sets them really beautifully in the sort of setting that she feels suits that stone, as opposed to here's a setting, let's find each stone. You know, it's led by the stone. And some of her rings are just like that. That's so pretty, that ring there. So pretty. And those earrings there, like with my dress, everything today I'm thinking, you know, when you shop for the dress you're in, but this is not an impulse buy. All right, this is like gifts, anniversaries, big occasions. There's some exquisite little unusual shaped, that's a pink tourmaline, but really pretty. And look at those gold filigree earrings, those are divine. And you see there, she's really homaged the stone because they're slightly different in shape. And I love that little bundle there. And it's like you're in a store where you see something and then it leads you on a journey to discover another piece of jewellery, and you know, so it's really worth a visit. And you know, you can get little tiny things which won't be an arm and a leg, would be investment jewellery for life. She occasionally has these very pretty silk pashminas. Oh look, over here too, there's more. What stones are those ones?
Aquamarine
They
from
are,
Afghanistan.
my God, that's amazing. Oh, I got to come in again off camera. Okay, thank you so much, letting us film. And the last place has been here the longest, which is, well, I don't know, but Lacey Gallery. When I first came to Notting Hill in '94, I came into the Lacey Gallery to find pictures to put on my walls. And at the time, you know, they do a lot of framing, and they do a lot of beautiful framing of things. And some of the most amazing places in London you might go to, they might get their frames here. Mark Burley, who owned Annabelle's and Harry's Bar and everywhere, he would always come here. You just look around and they are exquisite, exquisite frames. And then you occasionally have some paintings for sale. You used to. Do you still sometimes have them for sale? Yeah. You know, you can smell that kind of wonderful workmanship, and you can see people doing frames in the background, restoring and creating. So this is the top end of Ledbury Road. We're going back towards Notting Hill Gate, and there's a few little things. This is an antique shop specialising mainly 30s furniture. So there's a few antique shops. Robin Marston Antiques has been here for years. There's Libby's, which is everything but sugar. But my favourite place is Melt. And Melt does the nicest chocolate in London. What we're going to do is do you still do your classes where you learn? You can learn to be a chocolatier here for a day, and you can book it, and they do it in the background. I mean, coming in here, I wish you could smell the smell of the most incredibly heavenly chocolate. What I have to get once a week are the orangette, dark chocolate with orange inside, and the dark chocolate discs, which are like that. And then Lila loves more than anything the caramels, so I'm going to get those for her today. I could go on and on and on, but what we're all going to get is one of their handmade ice creams. Good way to end the
There are
day.
chocolate ice cream inside.
Yep.
We've got plain dark coated on the outside, plain milk coated, and almond. Those there are hazelnut ice cream, strawberry ice cream, and passion fruit sorbet.
What do you want?
Ooh, almond.
Almond.
Yeah.
What do you want?
I think I might go for milk, please.
The plain milk?
Yeah.
And I'm going for dark. We can try one of each. You know how I like to line things up. So you can have your library of chocolate, and this is the library. So my favorite flavors are almond. The sugar-free is great if you've got somebody who's a diabetic. The orange is great. Then they have sea salt, and they have a popcorn there. Yeah. There's a little mini chocolates. So we now got to tuck into soft serve with some deep chocolate. Let me just try that. Oh my God. I hope you've enjoyed my tour of Notting Hill. This is such an enchanting part of London to visit. And as you can see, there's kind of really busy parts, and then we can come back here into that residential area and get a breathing space. So if you come at the weekend, always remember to visit the side streets as well as the main streets. Have a nice day.